Hi there. Welcome to Risky Business. I'm Kathy Kaehler.
And I'm Bliss Landon.
Welcome to our show. We're very happy to have you with us.
Yes, we are.
And how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
I like your top.
Thank
Very
you.
horsey.
Well, I am an equestrian.
Yes, you are.
You do know this about me.
I do.
Yes,
I do.
My old geriatric horses in my backyard, but
who are so adorable.
They are, and I love them. But they're too old to ride now. But that's okay.
I miss having horses in my backyard. There's something so magical about that.
You know what? In the morning, sometimes I'll go out there. I'll bring my dogs outside, and I'll look up, and they're playing with each other. And it's like I have a little, horse show, exhibition in my backyard or exhibition.
Not to mention, mention the pigs.
Well, yeah, I can't see the pigs from my backyard.
I don't know how you can't. They're so huge.
This is true. But
it's lovely. It's
but
so
the horses
nice.
are fun, and the way they play, it's like medieval times in my backyard.
Really?
Yeah, they're rearing and trying to bite each other.
Wow.
But they're just playing.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. And there is something about looking at a horse that's just very calming and relaxing. They're so beautiful. Yeah.
I love it.
Even when they're old, they're still beautiful when they're old.
Well, we're beyond our days of riding.
Yeah.
I wish I could ride, but I cannot.
I know.
I just can look.
Me neither.
And pet their noses.
And feed them carrots.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we have a really great show for you guys today. And this is a subject that you do hear about. And many, because there are a lot of people who are affected by lupus. Yes. But you may not know what happens to you, what it feels like, how you know you have it, what happens if you do have it. And that's why we're very excited to talk about this today, because we have somebody who has an extraordinary story. And I think, again, knowledge is key to so much. And we're just really excited. So,
well, and it's Lupus Awareness Month.
That it is.
Yes.
So even more important to get this word out.
Yes.
So we'd like to welcome Brooke Goldner. She's a medical doctor, a plant-based healer. That I'm very excited to hear about.
Me too.
And an author. So welcome to Risky Business, Brooke. How are you today?
Doing good, thank you.
Fantastic.
Welcome, Brooke. Welcome to our little show we have here. So you actually had lupus at one time.
Absolutely, yes. So I was diagnosed with lupus when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Back in the day. Oh, yeah.
What were your symptoms? Like, how did you feel? I mean, how did you know there was something wrong?
That's the thing about autoimmune diseases and lupus is oftentimes you don't really put it all together that something's wrong right away, because things kind of sneak up on you and you justify them. So what happened to me was at 14 years old, I started getting really bad migraines.
Oh.
But people in my family get migraines, but these were bad. I mean, my mom would have to pull over and I'd have to vomit out the car, while they're trying to
Oh, wow.
bed for 3 to 4 days, just really sick with it. And they did all the tests. My mom, was diligent about bringing me to the doctor. And I remember they did the EEG and the MRI and the CAT scan. And my parents said, well, they've proven you have a brain. But they still can't figure out what's wrong with it.
But what's wrong?
Yes, it was, there's a lot of sarcasm, New York family, So anyway, they kind of put that aside. Said, we don't know why you're having this. We'll give you medicine for pain. And then the summer when I was 16, before I started junior year of high school, I started getting joint pains in my knees and my shoulders. But the weird thing was it would move around. And pain doesn't usually work that way, where one day my shoulder would hurt so much I couldn't raise my arm. It's so bad. It's going to take me like 2 weeks to heal this. And then the next day, totally normal, but it's the other shoulder. And I thought, am I losing my mind? Maybe they were wrong about that MRI. Maybe there's something missing. Like this is weird, right? So it was a wandering joint pain, which actually is very common in lupus, a wandering pain, but it feels like the worst pain you ever had. Like you sprained your joint and then the next day normal. So that was very weird.
Oh yeah.
And then I started getting rashes, and I had a rash across my face when I'd go in the sunlight. And so these things just started to accumulate. And one day they all came together, and I had just gone to the pool all day with my best friend. And a lot of people with lupus, including myself, are very sensitive to the sun. So I was in the sun all day. And by the time we left the pool, I had a raging migraine and I was feeling really achy. And then I went and threw up because of the migraine. And when I came out, my rash on my face was really bright.
Oh my gosh.
And my dad looked at me and went, something's wrong here, you know?
Yeah, think you're not looking good.
Yeah, I think there might be something wrong.
He was right on top of it. Yeah. But I mean, I had gone to the doctor about my knee pain and they said, I don't know, maybe it's because of volleyball. I'm like, I sit bench for volleyball. Like the coach never put me in the game ever. I would have to beg to get like one turn. Wow. So, I mean, but you know, so something for pain. But finally, when that happened, they called my doctor. I met them in the ER. And when she saw it all together, she knew very quickly that it was lupus. But the surprising thing then, okay, I knew I had rash. I knew I had joint pain. I knew I had migraines. But when they did my blood test, it turned out I was already in stage 4 kidney failure.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't know it.
So it affects your kidneys. I didn't know that part. Wow.
Well, yeah. So autoimmune diseases can attack different organs. So your own immune system starts attacking your body, right? Instead of like a virus, for example, that you want it to attack. So with lupus, it can attack any of your organs. And it can be kidney, hearts, lungs, brain. So when they did the testing and they saw my blood test that my kidney was failing. So the next day I'm in surgery getting a kidney biopsy. The day after that, I'm sitting in front of a nephrologist who actually said it was my mother and my grandmother sitting there with me. And he actually said that because my kidneys were so severe, I had 6 months to live.
Oh my gosh. How awful.
I'm just in shock.
So you were like 17 at this time or 16? 16 at this time still. Wow. Oh, that's terrible.
So it escalated quickly. You know, it was just kind of like, okay, aches, pains, that kind of thing. And then he literally said, unless you do some experimental treatments, which at the time they didn't have all the fancy drugs they have now, which really haven't made that much difference in outcomes. But back then it was high dose steroids, which I was on, super high doses of steroids. And then they did chemotherapy as an experimental treatment because what they knew at the time was when they give chemotherapy to people with cancer, it shuts off their immune system. And that's why a lot of times they end up dying from an infection because you know how people with cancer, they can't be around other people. And
right.
So they thought, well, if lupus is causing your immune system to attack your kidney, what if we just shut off your immune system on purpose? Like when your computer gets all fitzy and not working right, you just kind of shut it off. You count to 10, you say a prayer.
Yeah.
And then you turn it back on and just, oh, look, it's working. So the theory was, what if we reboot you? And so it took 2 years of chemotherapy to shut down my immune system enough that my kidney failure stopped. And then your expression is like, what is this?
I'm just absolutely dumbfounded.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is a really horrific illness. There are people with lupus where it only affects just the skin or maybe only joint pain. But for many people like myself, it affects the kidney or other organs. I've treated people with brain lupus who are having 3-4 seizures a day or in their heart or lungs, all of whom are healthy and living good lives now. But it's a very scary illness and modern medicine can keep you alive. I mean, thank goodness. Had I not had this experimental treatment, I might have had a kidney transplant or died. Because of the treatments they gave me, it kept me alive. I was able to, I graduated top of my class in high school because I couldn't go out because of the chemo. So I just read my textbooks. So I just stayed home and read textbooks. And
I was going to say, how did you become a doctor with all that? I don't know. So you
nothing to do.
Nothing else to do but study. Okay.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm grateful to Western medicine. It's one of the reasons I became a doctor was my doctors really did save my life. But it doesn't give you health. And so I knew that I was going to live a shorter life than most, that especially when I went to medical school, I really understood that because when I was young, there was no Google. We didn't even have the internet till I was in college. So that's how old I am, right? But I thankfully didn't have the internet to tell me how bad I was supposed to feel.
Right.
And so I planned a life anyway. And then when I went to medical school, I went, whoa, okay, this is bad. And I knew they told me I could never have children. That I would probably be disabled by my 40s. And I wasn't going to live as long a life as other people. Mm-hmm. But I figured, my family came here as refugees from the Holocaust. Oh. And I had a way better life than they did. Yeah. And I had actually a blessed life compared to them.
Right. Right.
So I always felt very blessed and lucky. And I just figured none of us know how much time we have. I'm just going to live full power, full speed ahead, let nothing stop me from getting the most I can out of my life and to give back and have as much purpose as I can, knowing that, I might have a shorter time to do it than other people.
Wow.
So for me, it actually created more intensity and gratitude and excitement about life.
Mhm.
Whereas for a lot of the folks I see, it actually does the opposite, where they end up very depressed and hopeless.
Right. It's because they Googled it.
Yes.
Right.
Don't want to Google this. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to Google when you have a bad illness. Wow. So is lupus hereditary?
In a sense. So autoimmune diseases, the predisposition to get autoimmune diseases are hereditary, but really, most of the things people deal with are, right? Like in families, you'll see, oh, everybody has diabetes, everybody has heart attacks, oh, cancer, breast cancer, right?
Right.
Most of the diseases people get, that's part of our genetics. So, your parents have their genes, they shuffle the deck, you get dealt out your hand, and, blue eyes, brown hair, predisposition to lupus or heart disease, But the good news, and that's what I really want to bring to the table, is not just the traumas of my history with medicine, but the good news is those genes have to be turned on. I wasn't born with it, right? I wasn't born with it. I got a good 14 years before I even started having any pain at all.
Right.
16 years before the kidneys started to go. So those genes were dormant,
right,
but something triggered them. And what I've been doing for about a dozen years of my practice is helping people untrigger their genes for disease. So for me, I've actually been completely lupus-free, normal kidneys, no medical problems at all for 16 years in October.
Wow.
All because I changed my lifestyle. I changed the way I ate.
Wow.
And I didn't even tell you, like in medical school, I started getting mini strokes from blood clots, that lupus was causing blood clots. And I started getting, double vision.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Wow.
When did you decide or just kind of became aware that what I'm eating is affecting what I have?
I wish I could say that I had some kind of brilliant insight. I wish I could. People are always like, how did you figure this out? Total accident. And I really tried. I originally decided I was going to be a genetic researcher. I spent 3 years at doing genetic research into leukemia and brain diseases. And, I thought, I'm going to be an expert in genetics and science, and I'm going to figure it out. And then I realized I really miss people. I don't like being in a lab with just the fruit flies. And I'm really clumsy. I broke so many test tubes. So I said, this is not me. I'm a people person. I'm going to go into medicine, and then I'm going to do it. And actually what I decided was, one of the best ways I could help people would be to help people with chronic disease live purposeful lives, that you aren't a diagnosis, that if I could do it, you could do it.
Right.
So I thought if I could help people overcome trauma and emotional pain, I could help them live even better lives than I could if I became a rheumatologist and gave them steroids or other treatments. Sure. And so I actually originally specialized in psychiatry and neurology, and I became a specialist in trauma and teaching people fortitude and happiness. It turns out people who are happy recover faster from illnesses and have better lives. So I became an expert in that. Or I kind of already was one, and then I became a doctor who taught it. And so I thought that was the path. That's how I'm going to serve humanity. And what happened was I fell in love. So that wasn't planned. It just happened. And it was right before I'd moved. So I had done all my training in Pennsylvania. I went to Temple Medical School, and I did my training in Pittsburgh. And then I decided I just didn't want one more snowstorm ever in my life.
Getting out.
Get out of there.
I was laying on my back on the ice after I tripped getting out of my car, and I was looking at the sky, and I said, no more. So I got my first choice of residency at UCLA in Harbor in California. And I was planning to go. And 2 months before I leave, I fall in love. And this guy, my husband, Thomas, he was so amazing. And we knew within a month of meeting, we were talking about marriage. I mean, it was one of those things where,
just meant to be.
It was, we'll be married 16 years also in October. And we still, to this day, if we look into each other's eyes for a few seconds, we start crying. Like we just can't, it's too much.
Oh, but wow. That's nice.
He's an incredible human, like the best one on the planet. I'm sorry, everybody, but I found him.
You took him. That's okay. You deserve him. You deserve him.
He's mine. I do.
Yes.
But that's one of the reasons I got him, is because I believe that. But so when I met him though, and we, at first I didn't talk about lupus because I don't know, I didn't meet a really hot guy and lead with the lupus story,
Save that
him
for the
bit.
second or third date. Yeah.
Not even. I wanted to dance and have fun and have experiences and just, I was always focused on my life. At that point, I was taking injections every day for blood thinners and I had my other medicines, but I only thought about my illness to take my medicines and it was gone from my mind. It was like, I have stuff to do. I have life. So, but when he talked about marriage, I was like, okay, we got to slow this roll down a second. And I have to explain what's going on. So I told him, I said, listen, I know you've seen me take my medicine. I have this disease where, I can't have your children. It could kill me if I tried. I'm not going to live a long life. And you're going to have to take care of me when I become disabled. So we were 28. I said, I could get it if you want to not go down this road. And his only other person he ever connected to as deeply as me, maybe not quite as deeply, was his best friend who had died of testicular cancer at 21. So for him, it's like, oh, great. I finally opened my heart again. And here we go.
And here we go again. Yeah. Wow.
But none of that was said out loud. He just looked at me and said, I'd rather live a short life with you than a lifetime with anybody else. So we'll just make the best damn life you could ever have. And I went, okay, let's get married.
Like, let's do it.
So the reason I told the story was this is when everything pivoted. So we decide we're going to get married. Now all of a sudden, instead of my only goal in life was the white coat, I'd never thought about the white dress. It just wasn't really on my mind. And so now I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to get married. And we were going to elope in Maui, just with our best friends, people who would cry only. That was my husband.
That was a requirement.
Yeah. Not people who just come in for the free meal, but just a few of us
the
on the
serious
beach.
ones.
It was really cool. And my husband he's famous for being an expert in metabolism. And so at the time I met him, he was training people for what was cool at the time was MTV. I don't know if anyone watches that anymore. I don't know. But back then, do you guys remember URL or TRL?
TRL?
Yeah.
What's that?
TRL. Oh, good. Like MTV's the Beach House.
Oh, yes. I do remember that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my husband was 2003 hottest body at the Beach House.
Oh,
Just
wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yes. So he is a scientist actually, and a specialist in metabolism, and he experimented on himself and made himself, a perfection at the time.
Looked awesome.
But anyway,
okay.
he was training people who were on MTV. And I said, well, I would like to look like an MTV star for my wedding. What woman doesn't want to look like that?
Of course.
I was overweight at the time. I was eating the best diet to be sick or overweight is called hospital food.
Oh, yeah.
You eat that, it is very good for hospital business.
Well, plus that the steroids and the treatments that you'd been through might have helped you gain weight too, right?
Yeah, but it was definitely, in Pittsburgh, when I would order a salad at the hospital, they put French fries on top.
Oh, jeez.
So let me ask you.
I'm not blaming my medicine for that.
Okay.
But let me ask you, was nutrition on your mind at all? It was never. And
Never.
Was it still not part of your medical experience and training?
It has never been.
Never been.
No, I'm an expert in nutrition and how it affects your cellular function because of the work I've done after my medical training. So that was the wild part was people have asked me in interviews many times, like, I'm sure you were still searching. And I'm like, no, I wasn't searching. I was trained in Western medicine. I knew what I needed was medicine. That was what it was. Like, there was no part of my mind that thought maybe there's something more they didn't teach you. No, I like I said, I was raised by immigrants where very trusting.
Yeah.
The FDA will tell us the right thing to eat.
Right.
The USDA's got it covered. I've now testified to the USDA multiple times trying to fix the situation. It's not easy to do. They haven't budged yet, but I won't stop.
And
I just trusted.
And during this time, I was going to say, were your symptoms escalating at all, or had they kind of?
It would come and go.
They come and go.
So the kidney failure stopped with the chemo. I still had some level of evidence of kidney dysfunction. So on my labs, you could see that I had protein lost in my urine that only happens with kidney damage, but I was told that was permanent. And then the arthritis and migraines would still come, but I took medicines for that. I had painkillers for those things. And then the blood clots started in my medical school training, and that I had to take injections for, and they said that was for life. So the reason I changed my diet was because I asked my husband to train me. And he said, your diet is terrible. There's no way. So I had been a vegetarian since I was a teenager, just because I loved animals. I had no like thoughts about diet being healthy, but I still ate tons of eggs and cheese and processed foods and, you know, French fries and ranch on the salad. Right. But I just didn't eat meat. And what he was doing at the time was something that's kind of similar to what paleo is now, but it was before that term came out. Right. So he was looking at what nutrients affect cellular metabolism in terms of fitness, like how to lose fat quickly. So, and gain muscle quickly, that kind of thing. So it was high amounts of raw vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids, high water intake. And then he thought you needed to eat meat for protein, but it was like free range only kind of thing. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So he goes, okay, I've never trained a vegetarian. So I don't know, just do my diet, but you know, tofu or something instead. So he'd been doing that nutrition plan a long time, and people lost weight and looked amazing, got on magazine covers or MTV, but nobody had ever reversed a disease or anything. Wow. But the combination of my resistance to eating any meat and his insistence on the raw vegetables and other things, within a couple of weeks, I realized that I had more energy than I'd ever had. I was an intern working 30-hour shifts multiple days a week, you know, really intense, high stress, where I was actually the doctor now instead of the med student. So you have to, you know, not kill people when you're an intern. A lot of pressure not to do that. So it was very high pressure, very little sleep. And yet I had more energy than I'd ever remembered having, where I could work a 30-hour shift and go to the gym after, which is not normal if you don't have lupus, you know? Yeah. So it's feeling really good. I had no joint pains. I had no migraines. Said, this is really weird, but I feel amazing. And then I had just gotten new doctors out in California. And so it took a few months to get all my tests done. And when I got my tests done about 3.5 months after I changed my diet, they were negative for lupus, which is considered impossible. It's considered, at that point, I'd been sick for 12 years, kidneys failed, blood clots. I mean, this wasn't like a little trip, you know, a little minor thing. This was a deep dive into illness. And it's considered impossible, but all the antibodies were gone. My kidneys were normal, no protein in my urine. And they thought it was a mistake. They thought the lab had made a mistake because they had my chart from Pennsylvania and they went, this is not right. So I went and got married, came back and retested. And now all my antibodies that were causing the blood clots were gone too. Wow. And so that was 16 years ago and it's never come back. So I've had 2 kids, beautiful kids.
You've had 2 children?
That's so great.
I
have 2 sons. One's 12 and one's 8. And lupus, they thought it was going to come back when I got pregnant. Never did. And so when I had my my first child. So this is the thing, is even after I felt good and my labs were normal, it still never crossed my mind that I didn't have lupus, because I'd had it for so long and it's incurable, and I'm a doctor and it's incurable. So I didn't understand why my labs were normal. And I kept taking my medicines for a year after I had normal labs, because I didn't know what else to do, because I'd been told for life, you know. And I finally asked my doctor after a year, why am I still taking my medicine? And he said to me, you're treating my anxiety because I'm scared to take you off.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's incredible.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you attribute the change of diet? What do you think that is in the vegetables? Is it the antioxidants? Is it the dense vitamin? What is it? What do you attribute it to?
So when you're looking at nutrition and disease, there's two aspects you have to consider, right? Are you doing anything that's actually damaging your cells and damaging your immune system? And are you giving your immune system and your cells what they need to repair themselves? Mm-hmm. And so the problem that we have in our society is twofold. We have a lifestyle that creates constant damage to our cells. Poor sleep, high stress, and terrible eating, all right? Because it's actually true, you are what you eat, so you're building cells out of your diet. So if you're eating what I was eating, which, you know, like French fries and ranch, even if you do eat a salad kind of things, high amounts of meat, dairy, processed foods, all that stuff creates inflammation and damage, right? So that's one problem that most people have. Then the other side is, how do you repair the damage? Well, it turns out that we need certain ingredients to do so, that your cells actually know what to do. There's like a little instruction manual, like you get with IKEA furniture. Your cells have that. It tells you damage. It knows what to do, but it needs the right tools, right? If you don't have that Allen wrench, I don't care. You're not getting any IKEA bookshelf. It's nothing's happening, right? So same thing with your cells. If they don't have the right ingredients, they won't repair the damage. And what happens is you get chronic disease, right? Instead of a disease going away, it becomes chronic because the damage continues. There's no one there to fix it. And so it stays chronic. But if you, number one, stop getting sicker, right? That's helpful.
Stop the damage.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
Do self-care to keep yourself happy and lower stress. And don't eat all of those things that make you sick, and instead give yourself what it uses to repair itself. So the raw vegetables, my husband was right on track. Raw vegetables, especially cruciferous, the ones that most people don't like to eat, kale, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, all this, Brussels sprouts, the ones that people are mean to, turns out they have what we need. They have the highest dose of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and other phytonutrients that your cells need to repair damage. Then you look at things like omega-3s. I use flax seeds, chia seeds. Omega-3s, which most people don't eat any of, are the key ingredient to create your anti-inflammatory immune system. So you're supposed to have an anti-inflammatory immune system that removes damage and gets you back to baseline. But if you don't have that in your diet, or if you're getting too much omega-6 from things like animal products and oils, then you're off balance and you can't repair damage. Omega-3s, by the way, also incorporate into your cell membranes, and they regulate your metabolism. So if you could be exercising and trying your best to eat clean, and if you're low on omega-3s, that one weekend binge is going to bring your weight right back up again because you don't have metabolism. And my husband has a best-selling book called Miracle Metabolism, where he talks about the same process that helps you lose fat also helps you be able to repair damage to your cells from disease. So omega-3s, and then water. Water is the key ingredient that actually lets your cells do the work they're trying to do. And most people are extremely dehydrated. Like I was living on coffee and Diet Coke when I was a med student.
I'm drinking my water.
I'll always drink water when I start saying that, right? So most people aren't eating any of that. Raw cruciferous vegetables, water, flax seeds, what are you talking about? And their entire diet is all on the inflammatory side. And that's why we have chronic disease. And that's why when I work with people, I help them with both things. I use my expertise in happiness and helping them with their self-care and getting their sleep right. And I teach them how to eat those foods that their body uses to repair itself. And what's incredible is the results are always the same. People get better. Like I had someone in my rapid recovery group that just ended. I have this group where these poor people have to work with me every day for 6 weeks, these poor souls. And so it's like the extra mother you never knew you wanted. How did you sleep? What did you eat? Did you have any stress? Did you fight with your husband? Tell me, was it right? Every day. But this one woman who's had rheumatoid arthritis and lupus for years, she couldn't even close her fist for 3 years straight. In 2 weeks, she could close her fist again and had no pain.
Wow. Now, do you completely eliminate meat for everybody? Because your husband doesn't, right? He still eats
he
meat.
does now. Oh, my husband's 100%. Yeah, 100% eliminated. Because at the time, he was still learning and trying to figure out what the key ingredients were, right? And he was doing it for fat loss. And meat doesn't affect, you can build muscle and lose fat, eating meat, but no one ever healed a disease doing that.
What about fish?
Right?
Is fish good for you?
No, actually, yeah. I used to think that might be the one because it has some omega-3, especially if it's wild caught.
Yeah.
But no, fish is actually right now probably one of the most toxic because between the mercury problems and then all of the environmental pollution out there from all of our factories all goes into the ocean and is sitting in the fat of the fish. Then you got like the nuclear waste leak from from Japan and all this. I mean, fish is bad news. Yeah, it's really not. So to answer your question,
broccoli
and kale. Broccoli and kale.
I saw this meme on Facebook once and it was so hysterical. Of course, I got tagged in it that said, what is the answer to eternal health and youth? Please say it's not kale. Please say it's not kale.
It turns out
it's kale, isn't it?
It's kale.
So I have
it really depends. To answer your question about the meat, I mean, I call what I do hypernourishment. I intentionally overdose people on the raw vegetables and the omega-3s and the water to help their cells empowered to repair themselves. Yeah. If someone's generally okay in their health and they're just trying to, reverse aging, increase energy, have glorious bowel movements, that kind of stuff, add hypernourishment to your diet. You're going to feel incredible. Mm-hmm. People who are actively sick, the best thing you can do is stop getting sicker while you're hypernourishing. And so for those folks, I am a lot more strict and say, get rid of the meat and the dairy and the other things so that you can finish healing before you mess around.
What about fruit?
Fruit is okay. It doesn't accelerate the healing process. So with my protocol, after I had my first son was when we realized that something was weird because I was supposed to have a relapse and all this stuff and it didn't happen. And so my husband and I, like I said, he's a scientist as well. So that's when we realized all we'd ever changed was my diet. Some people have suggested it was love, but I was in love for 6 months without changing my diet. Same labs with lupus. So wasn't exactly that. But we tried to see, what did we do? What did we change? And then we started looking at, because I hate when people, they do something and they get better, whether they lose weight or they feel better. And then they just say, do what I did. It's a miracle cure. But they don't even know if they got better because of everything or in spite of some things. Was it all of it? Was, you know what I mean? That's not science.
Yeah.
So we went back to analyze how do different nutrients affect cellular function, immunity, inflammation, and try to figure out what parts of what I did caused me to recover. And then we spent a year actually testing it on people to make sure all of them would get the same result. And so everything we teach is what works every time. And there's no kind of guessing about it.
Wow.
You know, so there are some protocols that help people that kind of accidentally include some of those things. But there's more like some people get better, some people get worse. Like paleo, you know, the people who eat mostly vegetables, they do a lot better. People eating more meat, they do worse, right? And so whenever there's that variability, to me, that's not science. It needs to be that every cell requires the same nutrition and it should work for every person.
Do you find that people who also have Crohn's and fibromyalgia, and does that kind of, would you say the same possible results, at least in terms of, okay.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, that's what we really discovered is this isn't just a way to get rid of lupus. This is how you optimize your body function. Right. I mean, it really is what it does. It's reversing damage to your body. So I've helped people reverse heart failure, diabetes, elevated liver enzymes or liver, inflammation, all sorts of issues, and where it's really the same process. And when your body stops fixing damage, it actually just works on reversing aging, which is also nice.
Lovely. Because you look beautiful and you've been through so much physically, but you would never know it by looking at you.
Really wouldn't.
And and that I'm sure that has to do with what you're putting into your body as well. Do you have you published a cookbook or any type of book that people can follow your routine?
I have 3 best-selling books.
Oh,
I have.
Well, there you go. Oh, not 1, but 3. And what are they?
So Goodbye Lupus was published in 2015. And that is the story of what happened to me and the 6 steps to healing with supermarket foods. And that one was actually a bestseller before I even published it. When no one knew who I was, I didn't know what even happened. I just logged in to upload and went, oh my God, who's buying this? So people were looking for it. So it's been consistently a bestseller. It's on Amazon since 2015. I have a green smoothie recipe book that I had, published really just for my patients back in the day, but then I didn't know people were going to find me and start buying that. But I also have free recipes at smoothieshred.com. You don't even have to look for that for green smoothie.
Smoothie Shred?
Smoothieshred.com, like get shredded, smoothie shred. That's a website my husband made as a public service. It has green smoothie recipes, videos, exercise. We both donate our information and time to the public. I always say it's because you got to save your life, and he says it's because you have to save your wife. But so my entire protocol I teach for free online. So it's in my books, but I also teach it for free online. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, if you look for Goodbye Lupus, because this should be something everybody knows, right?
Absolutely.
So Goodbye Lupus and then Goodbye Autoimmune Disease I published last year because one of the problems is people who are otherwise happy, good relationships, they just do the diet and their lupus goes away or their rheumatoid arthritis or whatever goes away, easy peasy. And then there's everyone else. And there's much higher rates of autoimmune disease with people who have trauma. I mean, some cases up to 60% of people.
Wow.
So it's very high. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that I had to do more work to help people with the other side. So in Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, I teach the processes that I put people through when they're doing rapid recovery with me to heal their emotional wounds and learn how to be happy while eating the diet. And that's what creates the rapid results. And it's also got dozens of case studies in reversing everything from MS to lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, heart failure, all that kind of stuff. So that was my newest gift to the world. And a lot of people told me that's what they really needed because, you can go online and learn stuff about nutrition, but if you learn and you learn and you learn, but you don't actually take action, it's not an information problem anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
What would you want to share in terms of just May being the lupus month? Obviously, we'll put this out, so it's incredible information. But is there a place that we can send people to get more information?
100%. So if you go to goodbyelupus.com, right on the front page, there's a free gifts area for people to kind of get started in learning what they need to know. I think what I really love people to know is, lupus is a scary disease. It's become more and more common over time because our lifestyles are so bad. But it's not something that you need to always fight forever. There's a lot of hope. People who have lupus call themselves lupus warriors. And I always encourage people, let's become lupus conquerors, because you can do so much more. You can do the things that you need to do, not just to get a good night's sleep, not just to worry about avoiding the sunlight. Getting the sun back was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But learning how to eat right, learning how to take back your health, and also never letting your diagnosis take away your happiness. I have so many people who tell me I'll pursue life and happiness when I'm well. But one thing I learned from lupus and what I learned from my family in the Holocaust is you don't know what tomorrow is going to be. Right. So find a way to make today excellent. Work on your health by eating well and enjoying your life today, and also being grateful for everything you have. And absolutely get the information. So like I said, I share it for free. So if they go to goodbyelupus.com, there's free gifts to get started there. And every day I'm prolific at teaching online. If you're on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, you look for @Goodbye Lupus. And, I'm constantly putting out videos every day to help people stay motivated, stay happy, and get healthy.
Oh, that's great.
Brooke, you have been a wealth of information. We appreciate every word. Really inspiring. Thank you.
Your story, it just could not be more inspiring. And I'm so happy for you that you've conquered, what you've conquered, and then you're helping other people. It's incredible. So
thank you.
Thank you. The world thanks you.
I was born to do that. I feel like my job is to help other people live their gifts. And so I had to go through what I did, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the illness I had and what I've been through because of the ability I have now to help so many people get their life back.
So wonderful. So
thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and take care. And please come back.
Yes.
At another time, because it's just so fun to talk to you. Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate
so inspiring. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I'm going home and throwing out all my meat and my fish.
Well, I knew fish.
I didn't even know. I thought I was being healthy by eating fish.
Yeah.
More fish than meat.
Well, she was mentioning mercury and the toxic waste.
Yeah.
And, guess what else? Plastic.
Oh, I know.
All the plastic.
I heard about some big, giant trash area in the middle of the ocean somewhere. It's the size of Texas. So I know. My doctor, my general doctor, he told me a year ago that he went to plant-based, and he said he felt great. He looked great. The clock reversed on him. He just looks incredible. And he's like, Bliss, you got to do it. It's so hard to do, but I really want to try to do it again because
it's like our earlier guest.
Look at her.
And our earlier guest, we were talking about, the brain and practice. It's like we got to practice.
We got to practice it. Yeah. And I love vegetables. I'm a huge vegetable person, but my husband isn't. So that's the challenge. That's going to be the challenge for me is to
let's get her book.
Okay. I'm going to
do it.
I'll get her book for sure. Amazon.
Wow.
Well, that was really inspiring.
Was really awesome.
She's amazing. Wow. All right. Well,
if you want more information, you can find her at Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, Goodbye Lupus.
GoodbyeLupus.com.
Yeah. Check out Instagram, Amazon. That's where I'm going to go.
I'm going to get her book on Amazon.
Go to Amazon. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I know we did.
Absolutely.
Again, inspired.
Yep.
If you've got questions for us, if you have any other ideas or topics that you'd love us to cover, please reach out, riskybusiness@coveragequeens.com, and come subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Coverage Queens, Risky Business with the Coverage Queens. But you can find everything on our website at coveragequeens.com.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
See you next time.